Hello everyone, welcome back to Methodology of Literature. Today we are going to examine ecocriticism. Ecocriticism is a branch of literary criticism to begin with. It is a study of the relationship between literature and the physical environment or the natural environment. This area of study analyzes how environment is represented in literature, examines how the human treats the non-human, and investigates possible solutions for the current environmental crisis. Hope you understood what it is. This type of criticism is trying to identify the natural element or the environmental element in literature, the role of the nature and environment in the story, in bringing about uh, the the elements of narration in the story. It tries to identify how the human world treats the non-human world, uh, and etc. And it tries to find out the problems, solutions to the problems exist in environment. In America, this critical method is called eco-criticism. In Britain, it is called green studies or green cultural studies. So, what brought about eco-criticism? How this branch of criticism originated? The publication of the book Silent Spring in 1962 by Rachel Carson was a wake-up call for action against the existing environmental exploitations. This highly influential book was about the ill effects of agricultural and industrial toxic residue. So, what brought about this awareness about environment all on a sudden? It was this particular book by Rachel Carson called Silent Spring, and this brought about a wide awareness about the environmental exploitation that was being going on around us. This is the book, a highly influential book. And moreover, the Bhopal gas disaster, Chernobyl radiation leakage, endosulfan tragedy were some other events that led to the awareness about environment, which led to eco-critical approach. Then in America, the movement started from 19th century onwards. Ralph Waldo Emerson, Margaret Fuller, and Henry David Thoreau were the pioneers whose works brought about attention to the natural world. Three books by these three writers, which greatly influenced the uh, uh, environmental thought, were Emerson's first book, Nature, 1836, then Margaret Fuller's Summer on the Lakes, 1843, and Thoreau's Walden. So these were the three important books from America which accelerated the cause of the origin of eco-criticism. These three works became fundamental works of eco-criticism in America. And what did eco-critics do? What are their activities? One, all literary works written from very ancient period to the present were subjected to ecocentric reading, paying particular attention to the representation of the natural world. Then, secondly, concepts like growth and energy, balance and imbalance, sustainable or unsustainable uses of energy and resources are also examined under criticism. So these are the topics which were actively discussed by the end of 20th century and beginning of 21st century, that growth and energy, balance, imbalance, sustainable resources and unsustainable resources of energy and resource, all these things. These things were also discussed under ecocriticism. Then American transcendental writers. That American transcendental writers means the above mentioned writers like Emerson, Thoreau, Fuller, etc. And sorry, and others. These were American transcendental writers. British romantics uh, like Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats, and others. Works of Thomas Hardy. The Georgian poets of early 20th century whose works foregrounded natural world were considered important by eco-critics. Then essays, travel writings, memoirs, and regional literature which focus on nature were also encouraged. So these were some of the activities of the eco-critics. They tried to find out the role of natural element in bringing about the literary work. Ecocriticism, in the modern sense, was founded by Cheryl Glotfelty with the publication of Ecocriticism Reader, which was published in 1992. This is the book. An example of ecocriticism, Jonathan Bate, a famous ecocritic, reads John Keats' poem Ode to Autumn as a meditation on how culture can only function through links of reciprocal relations with nature rather than as an escapist fantasy. So, Jonathan Bate, the famous eco-critic, reads John Keats' poem Ode to Autumn as a meditation. Meditation on what? Meditation on how human culture can only function through a reciprocal relationship with it. Reciprocal means to and fro, from one direction to another, and from human culture to nature, and nature to culture. So, human culture can exist only by give and take between nature and culture. So, this observation was made by Jonathan Bate about John Keats' Ode to Autumn, rather than as an escapist fantasy. See, the traditional view about John Keats' poem was that it was an escapist fantasy, but eco-critics read it as a movement from culture to nature. During the period in which Keats wrote this poem, it was observed by Jonathan Bate that Keats moved to the bond between self and environment, Bates argues. Bates says that the Keats poem is a walk from culture and nature. So this is only one example of eco-critical reading. There are several eco-critical readings of very famous works. For example, the role played by Mississippi River in Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, uh, the role of uh, Kazakh and its environment on the story of Kazakh in Itihasam, the role of Mayari in M. Mukundan's novel Mayazhipuzhayude Theerangal. Several such readings can be done. So we are stopping here, and in the next class we will move on to ecofeminism. Thank you.